Okay, diolch yn fawr. Croeso pawb. Welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil Cabinet meeting on Wednesday, the 15th of July, 2020. Please note that this meeting will be recorded for subsequent broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. Before I move to item 1, just a short statement from myself. Today we make history. Today we return democracy to Merthyr Tydfil. It's been some weeks. In that time, we've had storms, floods, COVID-19 and an incident up in Kepak. We've also had the sad loss of John Selwood, one of our colleagues. And also we've had the lockdown procedures and day-to-day business. Free school needs, school hubs, shielding, volunteers, homeless, business support and community groups have all joined with us to deliver services in Merthyr Tydfil. In fact, there hasn't been a halt. Many of you have not had a day off in the last 14 weeks. The remain challenges: antisocial behaviour, fly tipping, business recovery, high street friendliness and welcoming. We have delivered being visible and accessible both as officers, staff and elected members. We have coordinated with the Assurance Board, and we have kept ourselves able to deliver the services and the demands of a recovery plan and a management plan. The results have been remarkable in the fact that we find ourselves in a strong financial position and an ability that our communication and standing with the public has never been better. Our team, because that's what we are, elected members, officers and staff working together, have done something nothing short of remarkable in delivering services in these dangerous and difficult times. And I feel it's important for this meeting for that message to be sent. Merthyr Tydfil's in safe hands. So moving on to the main agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. Michelle, I understand it was Judith Jones who gave the apology?
Yes, Leader, that's the only apologies I've received.
Okay.
Chair, before you move on, can I just indicate that Councillor Barry has his hand up to speak?
Cool.
Legacy hand. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mountain Officer. Okay, next one. Any declarations of interest?
No declarations of interest received.
Thank you, Michelle. Moving on to now the next item, which is item 3, Provisional Capital Outturn 2019-2020. I believe this is Inspector, I'm going back to my old one. That was a Freudian slip, wasn't it?
I've been promoted, have I?
Yeah, no, you'd be Chief Inspector, you would. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Chair. Item 3, the Provisional Capital Outturn Report 2019-20. The report details the provisional capital outturn for 2019-20 as at 31st of March 2020. There's an underspend of £887,000 on core-funded projects for the financial year 2019-20. There's an underspend of £919,000 on grant-funded projects for the financial year 2019-20. The budget underspends are requested to be carried over to 2020-21. Therefore, the recommendations are at 2.1. The provisional capital outturn report for 2019-20 be noted. The budget amendments for core funded projects as outlined at 4.1 of the report below are approved. 2.3 variances to the revised budgets as per paragraphs 4.2 and 5.3 be noted. And finally, 2.4, the amendments to the proposed 2020-21 budget following the 2019-20 carry forward requirements as per paragraph 4.3 be approved. I move, Chair.
You're on mute, Leader.
Yeah, Councillor Mitten has indicated to second.
Yeah, I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions on item 3? Any observations on item 3? Can we take that item to the vote, please? you know.
I'm not sure if anyone is able to tell us whose vote hasn't recorded yet. Anne, are you able to tell me
I
that?
think it's me.
Yeah. If I haven't been able to, Caris. I
Right.
can't get up on the screen.
There we are. We now have 5 votes.
Is that everybody voted?
Yeah, I have all of you now. So
Okay, Caris, am I all right to call that's carried?
yes, you are.
Right, okay.
We did
I
have a
can see it.
practice of
That's
doing something
carried.
else. You have that now. So yes, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. It's very difficult with his voting. I find that to move that thing on the side up and down to get the right thing with it. I was struggling with it. So, okay, let's move on to item 4, which is the revenue budget outturn. Again, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Chair. I'm really pleased to be bringing this revenue budget outturn for 2019. The position it puts us in for the coming year. The report details the provisional, subject to audit, obviously, revenue outturn for the financial year 31st of March 2020. Provisional budget surplus of 2.891 million is reported. General reserves at the 31st of March 2020 are maintained at 4.7 million, being 3.91 of the council's budgeted net revenue expenditure for 2020-21, in line with the council's corporate reserve policy. I'll go to recommendations in a second, Chair, but I just want to point out that last year we projected a deficit of 6.557 million, and our outturn of 2.891 equates to a turnaround of nearly 9.5 million pounds, and it's through nothing more than prudent fiscal management. And I think huge congratulations to the staff, senior officers, Steve and our accountancy team for the accurate accounting of those figures, and not least to the lead administration for taking us through this. So well done to everybody as Team Merthyr. That's an absolute tremendous performance. I'll take the recommendations, Chair. 2.1, the provisional revenue outturn position for the 2019-20 financial year be noted. At 2.2, the non-utilisation of budgeted contribution of 483,000 from our general reserves for 2019-20 be approved. Our non-utilisation of budgeted contribution of 1.295 million from the budget reserve for 2019-20 be approved. And finally, at 2.4, the transfer of 1.113 million to the budget reserve be approved, subject to an agreed proportion being made available to support value for money investment opportunities. I move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, I second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions on item 3? Any observations? I see some hands going up there. Deputy Leader, Councillor Mitten.
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate and echo the points that the Cabinet member has made, I just want to also put on record that, you know, as administration, as a Cabinet member, we recognise all of the hard work, especially from Steve and the team as well. And just to echo, as I said, what Councillor Barry said. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. I see Chris. Are you going to call him in?
Sorry, if I do it, then perhaps that's
okay. Yeah.
Routine. But yes, Councillor Chris Davis.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo the words by the Deputy Leader and by the Cabinet Member for Governance and Finance. Obviously, it's been a challenging, previous 12 months into another challenging, financial outlook. But I wanted to commend all of the officers at the council who've worked so hard, and just wanted to put on record really my thanks particularly to the team at Social Services and my role as the Cabinet Member for Social Services really for a 1920 outturn position against obviously really difficult times of obviously £376,000 surplus. We'll have much work to do as we come out of COVID, so we mustn't rest on our laurels. We're going to have challenging times ahead, but I think adopting a Team Merthyr approach, working with our communities, working with our partners, we can do this, and the future's bright, and the future's Merthyr Tydfil. And with this administration, we will do our best to support the residents of Merthyr Tydfil and be there for them, in the year ahead and actually coming years ahead as well. So I just wanted to commend everybody for their hard work. A surplus of nearly £2.9 million and actually money into the reserves, which is a fantastic position for this council and this administration. So I commend that to you and to everybody involved.
Thank you, Councillor.
Chair, you have Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just want to, add my thanks really to the staff and the officers for all the work that they've done over the last year. But I think over the last 3 years, it's almost 3 years, it was just over 3 years since we became into administration. And every year, due to austerity, we've had to make savings. And to go through those 3 years was difficult. But to come out now with almost £3 million going into reserves, I think is a fantastic effort by everybody. And it just shows we're in a stronger position now than we were in 3 years ago. So well done everybody involved. Fantastic.
Thank you, Councillor. Right. Is there any more observations? Okay, shall we take that to the vote?
Still just struggling with one vote.
That's the Councillor Kevin O'Neill and Councillor Dave Hughes.
I can't get the vote in. Sit back up.
As soon as I'm saying yes and I submit the vote, it's not carrying through. I don't know why. Pretty strange. So has mine been taken yet? Do we know?
No, it hasn't come through yet. But if you say yes, we'll make a record of that. Is that okay, Carys?
Yes, I think that may be the only way. I don't think we want to spend too much time trying to make that system work. We'll keep trying to use it, but yes, if you just say whoever's missing, if they just say what their vote is, and we'll record it that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yes from me as well.
Yeah, so we have again, that matter is carried.
Okay, that vote is carried. Thank you very much. Nothing like modern technology. Okay, we're now moving on to, let me check my, it's item number 4, the revenue budget outturn, and I guess that's Councillor Barry again.
No.
It's item 5 now.
Oh, right.
Moved on to the next item.
Okay, I beg your pardon. Item 5, renting homes, and that's Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. This is a great report to bring to Cabinet today. It's going to give extra protection to the residents of Merthyr Tydfil, and particularly those in the rented home sector. It gives them more protection against unscrupulous landlords. So if I can read out the summary of the report, Chair. To seek Cabinet approval for delegated authority to be given to the Deputy Chief Executive and Environmental Health Officers to provide enforcement of the Renting Homes Fees, etc. Wales Act 2019, the 2019 Act, on behalf of the Council, and to Rent Smart Wales to provide enforcement of the 2019 Act in the capacity as the single licensing authority for Wales. Essentially, the 2019 Act prohibits letting agents and landlords who manage their properties from charging fees before, during or after a tenancy unless they have a statutory exemption to do so. Letting agents and self-managing landlords are also prohibited from requiring a tenant to take out a loan or to enter a contract for services. Enforcement of these new requirements by the Council and RSW in partnership will contribute to fairer and more secure tenancies for private tenants. I'll go straight to the recommendations, Chair, set out between 2.1 and 2.2 of the report. Delegated authority to be given to the Deputy Chief Executive and to the Council's Environmental Health Officers to enforce the provision of the Renting Homes Fees, etc. Wales Act 2019, and that the Council's constitution be updated accordingly. Authorisation be given to Rent Smart Wales under the auspices of Cardiff City Council as the single licensing authority for Wales to exercise any function of an enforcement authority in relation to Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council areas for the purpose of the Act, including taking enforcement activity and bringing criminal proceedings pursuant to Section 19 of the Act. I so move, Chair.
Do we have a seconder?
Yes, Chair, I second that.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions?
No, Chair.
Any observations?
Councillor Chris Davis.
Thank you, Montrose Officer. Thank you, Chair. I really welcome this report as a really step forward, obviously, for strengthening and providing a platform and a base for those residents in the county borough who have tenancies in the private sector, private rented market. It actually probably provides a bit more equity and parity with those in the registered social landlord sector. I've been really encouraged actually by my engagements as an elected member with Rent Smart Wales. I think they're a great organisation that's there to actually fight and represent the rights of tenants, be they being registered social landlord or private tenants. And I think, this is a fantastic step forward for looking at protecting the rights of those in the private rented private sector market. The report covers issues about the charging for fees. Obviously, the taking out of loans, the contract strengthens the position of the council and Rent Smart Wales as advocates for those in housing. It is actually fundamentally important, a roof over your head, and anything that threatens that is quite significant for people. So the securing of tenancies and favouring the rights of residents in this county borough is something that I applaud and something that I really support. So, really support and commend this report coming in front of Cabinet today.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other observations?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Can we take that to the vote, please?
So again,
just Councillor O'Neill. Oh, it's gone through.
Oh, they all
wonderful.
gone. Brilliant.
That's carried.
All carried. Thank you for that one. If we move on to the next item, which are information reports, the following reports have been submitted for information. I will read out the title of the reports, and if you have any relevant comments that the committee needs to be made aware of, please raise your hand. Item 6 is Adult Services, COVID-19. Item 7 is waiving of pitch fees 2019 to 2020 season. And item 8 is Estin inspection of Merthyr Tydfil Adult Community Learning MTACL partnership. So are there any questions on any of those items?
Councillor Lisa Mitten is indicating to speak. Can I just remind everybody, however, that these are information reports, so it's only whether you have any issue about the accuracy of the report that we would need to have comments. They're not for comment or debate.
Okay, thank you, Monitoring Officer.
That's fine, Chair. That's what I wanted to check, because I did think they were just information reports, so that's fine. Thanks.
Okay, so there's no observations to be made. We'll move on to the next item, which I have down is there another report? Am I missing a report?
Yeah, no, it's the order that we have them. So if you just read the agenda as you have it, Chair, it's a little bit of a different order.
Okay.
Because of the way we wanted to handle the section 100. So you have AOB now.
Yes, that's what I've got here. Any other business deemed urgent by the chair? And this is the late report, is it?
The late report.
Okay, a late report was submitted following publication of the agenda. That's item 9A. Authorisation of officers in relation to the health protection, in brackets, coronavirus restrictions, close brackets, further brackets, number 2, further brackets, Wales Regulations 2020. To consider report of the interim chief executive, and is it Councillor Andrew Barry presenting that?
Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Authorisation of officers in relation to health protection. To seek Cabinet approval today with this report for delegated authority to be given to council officers, namely public health officers, trading standards officers and licensing officers, enabling them to act on behalf of Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council in respect of the newly enacted health protection coronavirus restrictions, number 2, Wales Regulations 2020. There's one recommendation, Chair, which is delegated authority be given to the public health officers, trading standard officers and licensing officers to designate them as authorised officers to carry out the provisions of the health protection coronavirus restrictions, number 2, Wales Regulations 2020. I move, Chair.
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions on item 9A, sorry?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Any observations on item 9A?
No, Chair.
Okay, shall we take it out of the vote, please?
Councillor,
There we got that.
Yeah.
That's carried.
Thank you. That's carried. If we move on now to item 9. In order to move on to the next item, we need to agree section 100 for the report to be considered in private. Do we have a mover and a seconder, please?
Yes, I'd like to move for section 100, please, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten.
I'd like to second that, Chair.
Okay, that's been carried. Let's take that to the vote, sorry.
Yeah, so you need to go to the vote for that.
Yeah.
There we are. That's carried.
That's carried. Thank you.
Chair, can I just say at this point
yes.
that if there are any officers present who don't need to be present for the reports which are being dealt with under section 100, can they now leave the meeting, please?
That was the last item on my agenda. I think I can officially say our first virtual meeting is closed.
Thank you.
Diane.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you all. Thanks all involved. Thank you.
Thanks all.